The art of locking in. Now, this is a big one because I feel that this has been something that's been so profound in my life of actually understanding how to approach truly locking in. People talk about, oh, bro, I'm locked in. I'm going monk mode, ghost mode. I'm locked in, bro. But are they really locked in? Look, I was in the Marines for 4 years. I went in straight out of high school. If you guys watch my content, you know that I went in when I was 19. And prior to actually going to boot camp, which is the hardest boot camp the U.S. military has to offer, I was locked in for about a year and a half, almost 2 years. So I knew off the bat that I didn't want to go to college right away out of high school. I hated school. And so my junior year of high school, I decided that I was going to go in the Marines as soon as I graduated after my senior year. And for that whole junior year, I was running every day, 2-3 miles a day. I was hitting the gym every day. And then my senior year, I amped it up. And what happens is when you decide to join the Marines, before you become a recruit, you're in a pool of a bunch of poolees. So these are guys and girls who are going to be future recruits. And you get together once or twice a week and do a very grueling hour-long workout session with other Marines that are leading it. And so for the entire year before I went, I was in the pulley system. And then I went to boot camp on December 6th of 2010. So I had already been truly locked in on one goal that I wanted to accomplish. I went through boot camp, and it was 13 weeks, one of the hardest times of my life, especially being so young and not having really done anything to truly build my confidence yet. I was basically still a boy, just transitioning from boy to man. And yeah, I was in the Marine Corps for 4 years. I mean, there were times where I was so locked in on my physique when I was in the military. I was pouring so much into my body. A lot of this happened after a breakup or something like that, which I think a breakup can be amazing fuel for personal transformation. Took my physique to the next level when I was in the military. And then I used a period of locking in even when I got out. And I'm telling you guys this story now, and I'm going to tie things back and show you exactly step by step in a very easy way how you can lock in based on whatever your goal is. So even when I got out of the military, I started getting into bodybuilding. I went through a period of, college where I was locked in on school. I was working full time. And then there's a specific period of time, and it was at the beginning of 2019 that I listened to David Goggins, and I decided to run a half marathon untrained, by the way, which I don't recommend doing this, but I was listening to David Goggins and I was super motivated because I was fed up with my physique. It was March of 2019. I looked at myself in the mirror and I was so fed up and disgusted of how I looked because I had let myself go. So from March of 2019 for 2 years, I went from being about 30% body fat to getting to 8% body fat in about a year. And I was completely locked in on my nutrition. I was feeding my mind with positive stuff because I had also a mound of credit card debt to pay off. So in that 2-year period, I paid off $12,000 of credit card debt. I went from just being a broke personal trainer to actually having my own personal training business. I started doing fitness modeling. I finished my bachelor's degree, and I ended up moving into a new, nicer apartment. I was dialed, bro. I was locked in. Now, I did have some fun in that period of time, but the way it works is if you truly want to get to a certain point, whether it's taking your physique to the next level, getting that six pack, having a physique that you can truly be proud of that most people don't, whether it's, wanting to finish college and you still got to work, whether it's, starting your own business, whatever it is that you want to do, I highly encourage you to lock in on one specific goal, maybe for 6 months to a year. You don't have to be super lofty and try to tackle so many things at once, even though I did. I think for most people, they need to pick one specific goal that they're going to go all in on for 6 months to a year and commit to it all in. All right. That is the first step. Okay. You pick the one goal that you want to go all in on. All right. The second thing is you've got to cut all the distractions and the noise in your life. So what do I mean by that? Distractions. That's, constant swiping on the dating apps, going out and spending money on dates when you're not where you want to be in your life. That would mean all the social media, push notifications, clearing out all the clutter in your life, clearing out, taking care if your finances need to be sorted. That means getting on a budget and, making sure that you audit everything. For me, it was all the above. I was struggling with attracting women. I was struggling with my physique and discipline. I was struggling with finances. So for me, there were so many areas of my life that needed work. I was trying to tackle all of them at the same time. And that's what I did for a 2-year period. So you've got to clear out the noise, the people that are dragging you down, the naysayers, the negativity, people who are living mediocre lives that aren't really going anywhere. They're not really on the trajectory that you were like, oh yeah, they're on the path I want to be on. You've got to get rid of the noise. You've got to get rid of all of the distractions in your life. Okay. And a lot of the times, if you're not where you want to be in your life, dating just becomes a distraction because it's money, it's time and energy that you could be investing into yourself. Bro, for a period of 2 years, I wasn't on the apps. I had deleted them. I wasn't spending any money or time dating any women. Of course, if I just met someone organically through my lifestyle, then I would entertain it. But I wasn't dating. And I think a lot of people have a tough time understanding what truly locking in means. It means that you truly have to purge your life. You have to audit your life, your entire life. Where's your money going? Where's your time and your energy going? Because people say that they want to level up in their career, they want to level up in their body, but it means that there's so many other things that you're going to have to give up. And I'm not telling you that you don't enjoy your life, okay? Because you should. It's all about the journey. And there's one thing that I got wrong about locking in, and this is about the art of locking in. If you have a lot of areas in your life that need work, then you shouldn't be wasting time on dating. But there comes a point when you get to a certain point when your life is pretty good and you can still date. You can still have a social life. I had a tendency to always go to extremes in my life. The personal development space is like, oh, just focus on your personal growth. Just go and don't date and don't go do things. Yeah, like if you're not in a good place financially with your body, if you don't like your job, you need to give all these areas a lot of love because it's just going to help you in the dating market, in the job market, to have more options as a whole. But there's never going to be a perfect time. It's all about the journey. But I had a lot of areas in my life that actually needed work. So it wasn't in my best interest for, at least a solid 6 months to a year to even spend any time and energy dating. Okay. So you identify that one main goal that you want to focus heavily on improving for at least 6 months to a year, and you go all in on it. You got to clear out the noise and the distractions in your life, number 2. And you got to, determine who you want to be, who you truly want to be. And I think that really actually is the first step, is you've got to determine who do you want to be. And who does your ideal self look like? What does he do? Where does he spend his time and energy? And get very explicit and journal about this. Actually handwrite this shit out in your journal. And if you guys want help to understand this a little bit more in depth, I actually created a free 40-minute training. Link is in the description. You can check it out if you're really serious about leveling up in your life, whether it's with attracting beautiful women, whether it's leveling up your physique, all this stuff, discipline. Check it out. You've got to say no to things that don't align with that. Once you identify and visualize who you want to be, who does that ascended man look like for you, everything in your life has to align with it. And I really encourage you to find a mentor find someone that you really look up to and you admire where they are in their life. For example, when I started YouTube in January, I was always really inspired by Hamza. I'm sure you guys have probably seen Hamza's channel. I was really inspired by his delivery, how he communicated on camera, the types of messages that he put out, because I felt like he was providing so much value and it felt like I was just sitting here talking to him. So I tried to do everything I could by reading more, writing more, learning how to speak on camera. And I really, really locked in. Actually, there was a period of time when I really started YouTube in January. There was about 2-3 months that I was just reading a lot in the morning. I was writing a lot, and I was, usually working out in the morning, but I started working out later in the day and just cutting back my workout time because I already had the physique and I know that I needed to pour more into reading, writing, learning how to speak well on camera, and just the branding of the Ascended Man. So you really have to focus on that one main goal, right? And people talk about balance in life. Balance doesn't really exist. Everyone, of course, wants to have balance in their life. And at the end of the day, that's what we all strive for. Have a balanced social life, relationship life, balanced in your career and making money, building a business, having hobbies, having fun stuff to do. And now that I'm making good money in a good career, I have my mission and my purpose. I have a good physique. I've learned how to attract beautiful women. These are all things I've been working on for years, but there were periods of time where I was just really heavily focused on that one goal for 6 months to a year. And I think that's the best approach for you guys. Because how I did it, which I don't recommend, was from 2019 to 2020. I didn't have too much of a crazy social life. I wasn't even dating anyone because I was trying to work on a lot of areas at the same time in my life. So you have two options. The one option is you can do what I did, basically, where you can basically go pretty much monk mode for 2 years and make a lot of progress. Or you would just pick one area to really, really work heavily on for 6 months to a year, lock in on that, and then you can go switch to a new goal. So whether it's focusing on money for 6 months to a year, and then it's focusing on your body, and then it's focusing on having more of a social life and dating. But like I said, guys, you shouldn't even be considering dating if you don't have money saved up, if you got a ton of credit card debt, if you aren't in a good job, your physique, right? That comes last. What comes first is getting your finances in order, getting your body in order, getting your mind in order, being on a trajectory in your career where you feel like you have growth, and understanding what your mission and purpose is. Because at the end of the day, you want to already have a life set up before you bring someone else into it. Okay? And like I said, just saying no to things that don't align with you. Because the thing is, if you're trying to take your physique to the next level, for example, to really get to the next level, to lock in, bro, there was times where I was getting up. There was years where I was getting up at 4:30, 5:30 in the morning, every single day without fail. I was dieting for 2 years, for at least 2 years straight. Actually, longer than that. I was hardcore dieting for probably 2019, 2020, 2021, for over 4 years. And unedited, guys, over 4 years. Now, I would still enjoy food. I would have 1 or 2 refeed / cheat meal days a week, but I was locked in, bro. Do you understand when I went from being 30% body fat at the end of 2018 to getting absolutely shredded in 6 months, guys? You guys have seen my pictures. I shed so many people in my life. I wasn't partying. I wasn't going out. I wasn't drinking. I wasn't eating any shitty food. I didn't have any toxic people in my life. And I lost my whole entire social group. I lost so many people because I was making so much progress in my life. They no longer aligned with who I was evolving into and where I was going. But what happens is if you're on the path in your life, you start attracting people that are like-minded. You start attracting people that are, like-minded and aligned in values and trajectory in your life. And maybe you might be on different paths, but you might have some similar goals, some common interests, and you guys can lift each other up together. And that's why I built a community here with the Ascended Man. That's the whole point of it, to have a brotherhood of men who really, really care about their personal growth. We're not making excuses. We don't have a victim mindset, okay? But yeah, another thing too is like I said, depending on where you are in your life right now, periods of monk mode or going ghost mode are very, very helpful. If you've never done a period of monk mode before, it's basically a period of time where you're very, very heavily focused on that one goal. Okay? And you are optimizing for your time and your energy. That means you're getting great sleep. That means you're working out regularly. That means you aren't wasting time like playing video games, watching TV, Netflix, all that bullshit. You know, you're like very military regimented. I've always been very, and I think being in the Marine Corps really helped with that, but I've always been very like militant with my schedule, especially when I'm super locked in on my goal. I don't give a fuck about anyone else or what they're doing. I don't give a fuck, bro. And you shouldn't either, because it's your fucking life, bro. And if you really want to get ahead, you got to understand that locking in is going to take everything for you. It's going to require everything of you to get to that next level, to next goal. Because everybody fucking talks about wanting, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that. And you don't want. One of my biggest pet peeves is people who say and they just fucking yap all day about what they want to do, and they don't actually take any action necessary. And I'm not seeing any actual progress in their life, that their actions are aligning with their words. And don't be that guy, man. So if you want to lock in on something, go lock in. And if you've never done a period of monk mode before, like I did when I went from 30% body fat to about 8% body fat in like 6 months, the best way to do it is to start with a period of 3 months. And that's in my coaching program. It's a very intensive 12-week one-to-one program. It's for guys that truly want to lock in. So if that's you, if you want to lock in, if you want some help, because I have the blueprint, I have the roadmap, I've done it myself, whatever it is that you need help with in your life, the link is in the description for the free training. Check it out. And I'm also curious, bro, like type in the comments, what's the one thing that you're thinking about locking in? Because obviously you clicked on this video for a reason. I want to know what's the one thing that you're thinking about locking in and what you struggled with the most. And then I try to read the comments as often as I can, because it gives me insight on what you guys are struggling with to make more valuable content for you, to feel like I'm really connecting with you and helping you. But yeah, like the video, bro. If you found value from this, it helps the algorithm push the content out to more people that can get this message, and then subscribe. And I'll catch you guys in the next one.